one. Oh, geez, don't all put your hands up. Come on, it's a template, guys. Michael,
Yeah, I could do it. It's been a while.
thank you. Thank you. I'll send you the template if you need it. So do you have
Yeah,
pen and
I've
paper?
got that, Joanna.
Okay, thanks. This one is relatively straightforward. So the report will be sent to the city, and but also because we're still in that combination process where the plans have been uploaded to the development tracker, and there is a comment box available for 30 days for the community. That is another way of giving feedback, and community members can also contact the applicant at any, not at any time, but through a phone call or email or whatever to discuss the properties. If you would like to ask a question after the applicant has done his presentation, the chat box is available for that. You just have to say who you are. And so we wish this to be respectful. This is about zoning and land use and any changes. Oh, sorry, I'm not reading that one. The applicant, Dwayne Ensing, will present the plans, and he has 15 minutes max, and then community members can ask questions. And the CALEC does not oppose or support any applications made. We simply facilitate engagement of the community. So, sorry, after this, I have to go through all this, Dwayne. After this, well, actually not after this, the plans are already up on the development tracker.
Yeah.
But the any changes to the plans after this meeting, any revisions, any correspondence with the city will be available on the development tracker. And if you are interested as a community member to attend the public hearing, which will be in several months, I'm sure, you can do that. They're online right now. And you can also share your views with City Council, sending an email to the mayor and council, and that will get to them as well and go on the file of this application. So if there are no further questions or no questions, I'd like to turn it, wait a second. Oh, thank you, Kevin. And Owen, would you be able to look after the chat box, please? And I guess I should see if there's anybody in there. So Dwayne, you have a presentation that you need to share with us?
I do, yeah.
And so without further ado, I will pass it over to Dwayne Ensing.
Okay, thank you very much. My name is Dwayne Ensing, and I am with Villamar Design, and I am making a presentation on behalf of the owner of this property. What I will show you, everything is on the development tracker. I have a few little extra things in here too, just to show a little bit of context. I have also been very busy lately, and I have not actually done any community visits at all, apart from one neighbor. So I do want to get out there next week to talk to as many of the direct neighbors that are at least touching the property, as well as some along, Philippa, Stannard, and Brooke, other neighbors in the neighborhood, just so they're aware of what's happening. And if there's anything that they have questions about, they can feel free to give me a shout. My number is on the plans, our company number, so you can get hold of me that way as well. And in like before I come out to your house, or if you end up being gone, I'll leave a card on your front door, so that at the very least you'll know that I came by to visit and explain what's happening. So this is the property in question. It's 419-421. It's existing duplex lot. It's about 985 square meters of space. It's pretty deep, and it's surrounded by 7 others that touch this property, 7 other properties. And there's a lot of people in this community, a lot of little smaller lots and a lot of lots that are, again, similar size. This proposal is just asking for a rezoning of this property to include a garden suite at the rear of the property. This next question is a little bit more of a close-up. Again, it's just from the City of Victoria GIS mapping, which shows in this yellow box here where the existing house is. And on my site plan, you'll see that there's parking in front. There's an existing building here, this duplex. We're actually not changing that at all. That's pretty much going to stay almost exactly the way it is. We are actually changing the front access to the front door so that we can make the driveway wider and enable scooter parking and wheelchair access. And then there's this existing building which is going to stay, and then there's a proposed garden suite on the back, which will have a walkway all the way to that front Stannard Avenue.
Wayne, can I interrupt? It doesn't appear that the slide changed.
Oh, really? Oh, all right. I need to share again. Oh, that's interesting. Thank you for doing that. If at any time I'm talking about something that you can't see, please let me know. I'm going to share here just a little bit differently. This is my whole screen. So this is the other context drawing, which shows all the different houses, what I was just explaining, outlined again in yellow here. And now I'm going to move on to another one. Any questions about this plan here right now? The existing house, again, there'll be a little change in the front. The driveway I'll go over in a minute. This existing shed in the back is going to stay, and then there's the garden suite in the back right over here.
How big is the, sorry.
Yep.
Well, we'll ask questions afterwards. But I was just going to ask, how big is the garden or the shed that's there? Because it looks quite large.
It is 450 square feet. And that's where it is right now on the site plan. On this plan, on this proposal, there is one variance, and that is for parking. We did try to work with the City of Victoria to get 2 spots off the street. 2 spots are required for this proposal if we were not to have any variances. I went over this a couple of times with engineering and transportation at City of Victoria, and we were not able to come to an amenable proposition to get the 2 spots into here. We could technically get them in here. Well, not technically, we could get 2 cars in there, but it doesn't meet the city standards for backing up and getting in and out of this space. So in my conversation with the city, they did say that they would support off-street parking for this proposal. Having said that, I'm not sure whether that will be actually the case or not, but they said that. So there is one spot here, and there's quite a bit of room around it. So we have interlocking pavers, which just identifies the front entrance to the duplex on the bottom. And then there's another walkway here with a new ramp and a new couple of retaining walls that will bring up to a new porch on the front of the upper floor of the duplex. There's a little bit of landscaping here. There's an existing hedge here that's going to be removed. And again, we're going to end up with more concrete in here so that we can get a ramp, which will go all the way to around the back. There's a really big chestnut tree here, which we're trying to avoid as much as possible. So we're coming across and then getting back to the garden suite over here. So there's quite a nice separation here between the house and the garden suite. Still quite a bit of usable space. And actually still, if you look at this plan here. They're still quite a ways away from this rear yard. This one, and with the landscaping here, it's actually quite protected. So it's away from these guys, away from these guys. This guy is, again, I'm going to say 2 lots over. So there's a fair bit of flexibility there in terms of privacy from what's happening on this one. There is one more tree back here, which again, we're working with the arborists to, during the construction, to be able to build this without impacting the tree. So the way that we have proposed this right now, there are no trees that are coming out right now. There is one tree that I would love to take out right here, just because there's a bit of a pinch zone and it's a little bit awkward to get the wheelchair through here without going up and over and down in that area. And there's still quite a few trees in here in terms of giving privacy from between the properties, but we have not at this point applied for any permit to remove any tree on this site. And are there any questions about parking in the front over here, or anything that's going on in the front of the building? Okay, I can always answer any later on. This building is the garden suite, which has a covered porch area attached to it. The mother-in-law of the owners of this property will be moving into this suite, and she's elderly. She's on the elderly side, but she's still quite mobile right now. But she likes the sun, but she likes to also be out of the sun. So this was a direct request on her behalf to get a covered area for her. The square footage of this is meets the zoning. The height meets what zoning allows for. There's a little bit of a vaulted space in the living area. The rest of it will be flat ceiling. Doors big enough for wheelchair access. There is another den in here which could facilitate aid in the future should the mother-in-law require that. The cladding on this will be similar to the existing house, the duplex that's on the site. These are the floor plans for the duplex. So there's a lower section with the garage and a suite. And then not a suite, the second duplex, the upper section, which is the first duplex living area, is up here with the deck on it. There are photographs of the existing site. So if you drive by it today, this is what it would look like with the sun out. If you were to drive by once this project is done, you would not really see anything different apart from this area here would be bigger. So there would have been a nicer entry into that lower suite or that lower part of the duplex, which really just helps to identify it a lot more in terms of if you're coming to visit one or two or the third resident. And then landscape wise, again, this existing crossing will stay the way it is. This whole driveway area will get revisited. So the dark areas would be like a paving, interlocking paver. So it would have more of a residential walking up to the front entry here or walking up to the upper floor here. And then there's a third sign here, which indicates that there's the garden suite in the back. And again, ramping up towards walking to the back. There's a large tree here, which we will not touch at all or impact in any way. Again, because we're not changing the driveway crossing, this tree will be untouched and there will be no change to this existing hydro pole here as well. Once we get into this backyard, The existing workshop, again, will stay the way it is right now. There will be room in here dedicated for bike storage, some for the garden suite, and again, some for the duplex as well. So it'll be securable, it'll be covered, it'll be, is for all intents and purposes, inside the garage or the workshop. And then again, this existing tree, we'd like to maintain that under the advisement of an arborist, including some landscaping around here as well, so that we'd be able to still have a garden feel in this patio area and as you're coming and going from this front door. Currently there is a vegetable garden here, and that will be retained as well. Obviously some of the owners who are living, the residents in this duplex, are using that currently, and we'd like to maintain that as much as possible. I think that's it for this one. I wanted to include this picture because the photos that you were just looking at didn't really show this that well, but this walkway here will end up moving over basically 3 feet. So again, not impacting this tree over here, which is the one that was on the site plan on the far right. And then there would be a new walkway here going to this lower floor entry, parking for the vehicle. And then this would go away and be that same lower level with the retaining wall on this side where that hedge is right now. And that would ramp up towards the back, towards a tree that you can't see on this one. And that would go into the rear yard towards the garden suite. And that, I could say more, I could say a lot more, but again, this is all, apart from, I think, this photograph, this is all on the development tracker. And apart from that one parking variance, this is the proposal. And if there's any questions, I'd be more than happy, more than willing to answer any questions that you have right now.
Thank you, Dwayne. You were well under your allotted. Actually, you weren't well under. You were probably about 3 minutes under. So
Okay.
you could have three more minutes, but don't worry.
No.
If anybody has a question, we do ask that the questions are 2 minutes maximum, or comments are 2 minutes maximum. Before we go to the land use committee, do we have any comments from any of our guests, Brian or the resident? It doesn't look like it. Anybody on the land use committee have any questions for Dwayne? Kevin.
So Dwayne, sorry, thank you for the presentation. You said the square meters of the lot, what size was it again?
985 square meters.
So how many square feet is
That's
that?
about 10,600 and change.
Okay, so that makes, and then the garden suite is 602, about 600 square feet, correct?
Correct. Yeah.
And this garden suite's going to be erected just from the ground up. It's not going to be dropped by, it's not going to be sort of something that's prefab. That's going to be
correct.
Okay.
Yeah, it'll be built on site, above grade, as little digging as possible.
Right. And this is custom built because you said it's the mother-in-law that's moving in that obviously has some physical concern needs. And that's why there's a ramp and wheelchair access.
There was that. And again, any future, one of the things that we do look at as designers is trying to incorporate future use. And, we could put steps in here and there and everywhere, but again, that's one thing that, if we can, which there's a long run here. So we wanted to incorporate that as much as possible, make it easy for any future tenant/resident to make it to the back.
Okay. It's interesting because I think that the mayor has talked about duplexes in Victoria having the looking at changing that fact that you would be allowed to have a garden suite without going through rezoning. But that hasn't been passed yet. So obviously, and that's why you're going through the rezoning in this case. The fact that you're not cutting any trees down, that's, as you know, that's a huge thing, or that you'd like not to.
Yeah.
And the parking, I think does the person that's moving in, does she have a vehicle, the mother-in-law?
That is a really good question. I'm going to assume that she does,
Okay,
but I actually can't answer that. I don't know.
that's okay. I was just curious. All right, no, that's good. Thank you.
Anybody else from the committee? Because I have a few questions if you don't. So last time we talked at the preliminary meeting, we talked
Yeah.
about it being an accessible building, but we also talked about the bathroom.
Yes.
Was there any consideration to change the access to the bathroom for somebody who could possibly be in a wheelchair?
So there is opportunity to, like, this is a 2'8" door going in here, and that could end up being a pocket door. And it looks like there would be room here to make this door bigger, and we could, move this over so that you can get a larger, like a chair in here. But in terms of, it's just limited in terms of, trying to get a washer dryer for someone, and the potential for, in this case, of someone else staying in this room as a caregiver to the mother, if that were to get that far, was the route that they wanted to go down.
Pocket door is an interesting idea. I mean, you have you're building a wall, so you can build it deep enough or to handle a pocket door, and it makes it much easier getting in and out.
You can, I mean, and you can get rid of the stacker, and you can make kitchen smaller. There's a few things you could do. I mean, either way, it's still, I do agree, it still is a little bit awkward getting in with a wheelchair trying to turn around or whatever. Like, it's not a big space.
Mhm.
But that's where we're at right now.
Okay, the only other question I had, can you just can you tell me again what the city said about parking? You said something about, like, you have to apply for a variance, but you said something about parking, that they said something about parking, and then you said, well, that's what they said, but I'm not sure what's going to happen. So sorry, could you reiterate?
Yeah, okay. I mean, just in conversation, like when you're talking with people, someone might say something, but unless it's written down, there's no guarantees that that's going to happen. I can't go back and say, well, you guys said that you'd be okay with supporting an off-street site for this lot. You know what I'm saying? You can fit 2 cars in here, but because you can't technically have 2 cars and a crossing that facilitates 2 cars without taking this building and moving it back, engineering said that they would support 1 car here and an off street for the other car stall, so that they would support that variance. But that was just a conversation. It wasn't in writing or anything, which is what I was getting at with, I'm not sure if they actually would or not.
So the duplex only requires 1 parking space for a duplex?
Yeah.
Okay. I think that's, I had one other question, and it was just, if you could go back to where you showed the drawing of, I think it was further down, and they were the front and the back, or the 2 different sides were side by side. It was the lot,
Oh, like the context lot?
possibly.
These
No,
ones?
no, it was one image, and there was you had the lot from the front, and then the lot from the back. I think it was
Oh,
almost
okay.
towards the end.
Like this one?
No, it was drawing.
What was a drawing?
It might have been the landscape one. There, the green one.
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
sure.
So can you just tell me why with the proposed garden suite, you go over the lot line, and why that shows going over the lot line on the right-hand side?
So I basically, what I did is I split this this lot is too long to fit on this drawing, so this is half of
Oh, yeah,
it.
no, I realize that. I
Okay.
realize that, but it's more like on the right-hand side, on the backyard.
Yeah,
Yes, that 6.1 right there where you've
Yeah.
got, and the line goes over the edge. Why is it going over the edge?
oh, this line?
Yeah,
This is only indicating it's 6 meters. Let me just draw this here so it's clear. From this mark right here to this mark right here, this is 6 meters in between here, 6.1 meters.
Oh, okay. So,
So
okay, just.
It is
just
only
like-
indicating the distance of
Okay.
the garden suite.
Okay. Thanks, that's just me.
No worries.
I don't have any further questions. You did actually send an email to me asking me about, sort of best practices with the community, and the notice of this meeting would have gone out to community members who live within 100 meters.
Yeah.
And so they should be aware that this is happening, and also that they can go online. But we really do suggest face-to-face conversation with at least, the very least, the immediate neighbors, because it just helps with understanding what you're doing and being able to have, a Q&A with them. And I think we're at a state or at a timeline in the pandemic where people can actually talk to people with masks on, and I think it's still encouraged.
Yeah.
So that would
Yeah,
be-
I mean, we have done other rezonings as well, just to answer that. And I have made a point in each one of those rezonings to talk to people before it goes to the city, and preferably before or after I talk to you initially and before this meeting. It's just I didn't get a chance to this time. So I will still go out and talk to the direct neighbors plus other neighbors in that area.
Okay. I'm actually getting a message here from the resident that they did not get a notice of this meeting, which is annoying to hear that, because the city is supposed to be sending these out. And we, this is not the first time it hasn't happened. And we also put notices on Fairfield Gonzalez Facebook local, and also next door Gonzalez Fairfield, and also on the website for Fairfield Gonzalez Community Association. So I'm sorry to hear that you didn't get a notice of the meeting. I can follow up and find out what's going on.
You could also, Joanne, when you talk to or email the resident, give them my direct line or my contact info and have them call me, and I can go through any questions that they might have.
Okay.
Or if I get their address, just to make sure that we arrange a time so I can physically show them the plans and again answer any questions they have.
Yeah, I think one of the best ways to do that is for people to, and this is again, well, unfortunately, it's on the notice that they didn't get, but that information is on the development tracker. And
Okay.
It's interesting how many people don't know about the development tracker, but we do keep telling people to go on and find out what's going on in your neighborhood. It's pretty straightforward for the most part anyway, but it does have contact information there.
Yeah, okay.
Anybody else have anything? No? Dawn? You're quiet. You've lost your voice. He became unplugged. Oh, well, no worries. Anyway, so as I said, what we will do is Michael will write a brief report that basically just captures what we talked about this evening. And the report will go into the city, and What we also do is once your application is approved by the city and you start working on this, and as things possibly change, then we receive information from the city saying, Dwayne has sent in some changes, and so we have an opportunity to look at them. And if there's anything that we see that's possibly untoward, we can raise a red flag. Usually it's fairly straightforward. So at this point, if nobody has any questions, I'd like to thank Dwayne for
One
your.
thing.
Oh, sorry, Don.
No, I'm sorry, I lost my audio, but I have no questions. Thanks for a great presentation.
Thanks, Don.
Yeah, so thank you for that. And if we could ask Dwayne and the resident and Brian Vatney, if you're still on, to leave the meeting, then we will have our own CALIC meeting for a couple of minutes.
Okay.
Afterwards. But thanks,
Okay.
Dwayne. And if you have
Yeah.
any questions, let me know.
I appreciate your time. Thanks so much, guys.
Okay,
Bye for now.
thank you. Okay, so it's just us chickens. And
I think there's some roosters on here.
some roosters. Okay,
Yep.
lots of roosters. 3, 6. So I have not received any other applications about anything for development. We had a development permit with variance from Christchurch Cathedral.